Hi, I'm Bill Buckley, and I'm the proud owner of this 1946 Chevrolet grain truck. I was raised in Aroostook County in the town of Bridgewater, and you're probably wondering why people put their names on the doors in those days, but this dates back to the early 50s when the state of Maine had this great idea that if you put your name and your residence or town on the door, then you could get a lower registration for your truck. So that's why they have it on here. But it doesn't need to be all fancied up like this one is. I wanted a truck like this because this is an Art Deco style truck from the 30s, even though it's a 1946. Basically, it was continued after World War II in the same form that it was in prior to the war. It's a 2-ton. Which is judged by the extra plating on the frame. It's been 100% restored. This truck lived most of its life in Nebraska on a grain farm. Never really was driven on the highway. It has about 18,000 miles on it, plus about 1,000 miles since we restored it. And it's a prize winner. Everywhere we go, it's always well received. And I can tell you some humorous stories. It'll take a lot longer than we got. So I struck a deal with the farmer in Nebraska who had 2,200 acres of grain, and I paid $1,500 for the truck, but it cost me $1,500 approximately to have it shipped here to Maine. I have a guy who does all the restoration on my vehicles in the Bangor area, and so I left it with him for about 8 months, and I wanted him to have it done before a particular car show, and he met that deadline. He's a great restoration. His name is Bob Jackson, and he does an excellent job. It's a 2-tone paint job, blue and black, and it is a base coat, clear coat. So it has a blue paint on the metal, and then on top of that it has clear coat. So you can don't have to worry about parades and kids putting their hands on it, because they're really not going to affect the paint. So kids like to come over and get inside, rub themselves all over the car. Hopefully no dogs will jump up on it, but it's very durable. Great parade truck. And it attracts a lot of attention, and I take this truck to local parades. The beautiful part about this truck is that it has something called a throttle. Now, most vehicles today do not have throttles, they have cruise control. However, with this vehicle, if you put it in gear and you pull out a little bit on the throttle, it will keep it going at the same speed. So it's really great for parades. You just have to remember that if somebody in front of you stops, you got to put the brakes on or push the throttle back. This is one of the original cruise control vehicles, and it's really fun to drive. We have 60 pounds of air in the front tires, which makes it, and they're loaded, which means they have powder in them, pumped in through the valve stem, which circulates around the tire to enable it to be balanced. So you don't get any bumping as you're going down the road with this. It has a 4-speed transmission. It's designed for use on a farm, so it goes really, really slow. And top speed without redlining is 50 miles an hour. And but it's a great driver, easy to drive. And one thing you may not know about these old trucks, but they didn't have synchro mesh transmissions, so when you shifted from, say, 3rd gear to 4th gear, you have to double clutch it. That means you shove the clutch to take it out of 3rd into neutral, then you shove the clutch, then you let out on the clutch, you shove it again to put it into 4. So you double clutch it, just going like that with your foot. Today with synchro mesh, you don't have to do that. Get a picture of that engine and the color. I can just say a quick word about the engine. It is a 6-cylinder, 235 cubic inch, 6 It is what they call a high torque engine, which means you can put it in whatever gear you want, but you can drag the engine RPM right down to practically, 500 RPMs, and it won't stall, it won't jump, and it will, and you step on the accelerator and you can go right back up to speed with it. So it's really has this low end torque. The interesting thing about this valve cover is it's called a Loadmaster High Torque Engine. As I was saying, we wanted it to be exactly like it came from the factory, but we had no paint codes for that color, or we had no idea what kind of a lettering it was. So we basically took the old one, which was really faded, and we copied it and came up with this lettering. This was hand done by a fellow by the name of Ken Brooks, who is a member of the Maine Country Music Hall of Fame. He and his wife Jane are very popular throughout the state currently, and he loves to do hand painting or lettering. He does gymnasium floors and things of that nature. He's very skilled. So we had him do this, and he did a lot of research to come up with all of the colors and the type and the size. So did a good job.